Hello, my name is Wired G Fox, and welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be talking about the McDonald's experience. About working there. I worked there for a good 7 months, and I have a few funny stories to talk about with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy. Hello, you've seen the intro. And I'm talking about my experience about working at the fast food chain called McDonald's. So when I worked there, I went through a few funny experiences I like to talk about. So the first one I'm going to talk about is actually the first day I started working, because that day was hell. So I'm going through all the paperwork, and I have to watch a few training videos, as you do when you get a new job, to understand what the job is, what you're doing, so you don't go in there completely blind. But usually when you go in there, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to have somebody, or you're supposed to be shadowing somebody for the first day. You aren't supposed to just show up and just start working like you know what you're doing. But that didn't stop them from doing that to me, because they were all too busy to help. So they gave me a very brief description of how to run the frappe machine, and left. Alright, and I look up and there's this little screen and items pop on. And you have to make whatever item pops up because a customer ordered it. And I don't know how to make some of these, because some of them you have to make them a bit different than just clicking a few buttons. And you have to add stuff on top, it should be pretty simple. But keep in mind, I was just given a brief description and had them make the easiest drink in front of me, and that's about it. So I see this weird one, like a caramel macchiato, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how to make that. Let me ask this guy over here or helping the guy with window. It's and I just am given the cold shoulder about it. No idea why, no idea what I did to this guy. But he's like, hey, yo, I'm busy. I can't help you right now. Figure it out. Oh my god. Back to what I was saying, but I went back to the machine. Hey, I want those diamonds. But I went back to the machine and I'm trying to figure it out. Well, it was a whole separate machine in the area. It wasn't the same machine. It was in the same area. But no, and I'm looking for it in the menu, and it's not there because it only has 2 pages, so there's no way I could have missed it. Thank you for the die. Alright, so I just make a normal caramel frappe because I'm like, that's all I know how to do, instead of a caramel macchiato. Or I don't know if it was a macchiato or I can't remember exactly what it was. That's just my guess. But I make it, and I give it to the guy, and he's like, and he starts yelling at me, and I'm like, well, I haven't been trained on how to work everything over there. So I made what I know how to, a caramel frappe. So he ends up, so the guy ends up leaving, helping the guy on window. So this guy's coming over here and starts actually shadowing me like they're supposed to. And I can't remember which employee this was, so I'm not going to give him a name. So he starts helping me, and the rest of the day was it was a really busy day, I guess. I don't really remember. I was mainly just getting told what to do, and if I had a question, the guy went over there and helped me. He stopped being an asshole. And that's all I really remember from the first day. And I went home, and that was that. No, it wasn't too bad, other than that one incident. Alright, so, although, this story is a lot worse, I would say, when it comes to being a good day. No. Alright, so moving on to the story. I'm working. This is when I'm I know what I'm doing, and I'm way past the training. I'm able to train people at this point. So skip forward a month and a half. So I'm sitting there helping the person on window, and the person on the window hands out the food and or he hands out everything and takes in the cash. So I look out and I see my one coworker. He has his hands up in the air, and he's backing away from a guy, and this guy looks pissed, but he was like under the influence of some sort of drug. I can just tell by looking across the entire like kitchen, you know. And I hear this guy yelling at my coworker, and I'm like, okay, I need to go out there and see what's going on, and maybe try to de-escalate the situation by being nice, because I can't use it by any sort of intimidation methods. So at this point, I was like 5'3", and at 110 pounds, I would say. So I was like a scrawny boy. Right, so I walk out there to talk to the guy and try to, like, you know, use customer service to de-escalate the situation. I think we messed up his order or something, but this guy was like high off of his mind. Like, he was taking some sort of like hard drug. Like, I don't know, like he had like itches in his skin, you know. He was like stumbling over his words, and he seemed very erratical. He seemed very erratical and not like he was sober whatsoever. It was like kind of scary being around the guy, like really uncomfortable. And he looks at me, and his eyes are wild. They're really deep. They're very bloodshot. He looks at me with the most angry look, and he's like, "You guys are not human." I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" He's like, "You guys work in here. You guys, look at you. You're like robots or something." I don't know. He's yelling at me now. And he's starting to like kind of like come up to me and like puffing his chest out, like he's wanting to kick my ass or something. And I'm like, "Okay, sir, I'm sorry about that. Like, we need to calm down. Like, did something happen?" And he wouldn't tell me. He's like, he was just very angry. And that's all I remember from that. And then my one of my managers comes out. And she was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And the guy seemed frightened of her, because she was an adult. You can tell she was a person of authority with how she talked to my coworker. You know, when she just escorts him out, you know, he seems to be very compliant with her. But I think it's because we were both like 14-year-old kids. He thought, I don't know, he had some authority over us being an adult. But no, that's pretty much the end of that story. Nothing else really came of it. But no, the last story I want to talk about was like my experience with like the last few days being there. Oh god. Alright, never mind, I'm safe. And I have to add, like, I'm like, this is like my 3rd month, 4th month being there. You know, it's pretty, I'm not doing too good. I have a health condition. I don't know what it is quite yet. I keep having to go to specialists every so often and get like tested and stuff, like under like a CAT scan, and like I've had a tube shoved down my throat. And so I'm coughing up pretty bad, to the point where if I work too much, my body gets exhausted really fast, and I don't have the energy to even stay upright. No, I'm working with this one really bad manager. Like, he didn't care. And I was coughing really bad at this point. Like, I wouldn't even consider me like be even in a somewhat working condition, even prepping food in the back or anything, with my one coworker. Or not my coworker, my manager. And he asked me to leave at the very beginning, but I said no, I can work for a little bit. I might have to leave early though, because I am, you know, my chest was hurting pretty bad, and I was already coughing horribly, to the point where I wouldn't even consider it acceptable at that point to even physically even be in that position of work. Alright, GG. So that one manager I was working with, he seemed to be pretty old school with the way, he like ran the place. Like, it had to be completely perfect in every way, and if you show up to a shift, you should finish it. I don't know why, but that's how it was, and nothing can change that. And then he when I come into shift though, he asked me if I want to go home. And I say, no, I can work for a little bit. I might have to go home later. And he's like, okay, yep, no problem, you know. Oh. Hey, buddy. Oh. I don't know why. But no, I don't think when I came in, I don't think he really wanted me to leave. But he wanted to ask, you know, just because the other managers have been letting me home because of how bad my cough was getting. So, but no, so I'm working, and normally I'm back doing prep and stuff when I have my cough and stuff. That's pretty bad, you know. I get chronic bronchitis, but there's some other health reason I've been let know that's causing it to happen over and over again. Like, really as bad as it gets. And we're still trying to figure out what that one reason is. So I'm getting progressively worse as I work. And I'm next to my coworker, and I'm wrapping sandwiches. And he looks at me and is like, hey, I think you're at the point where you need to go. Like, you can't even work at this point. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'll stay for another like 20 minutes and finish up until somebody can replace me. It's like, all right, you know. And that 20 minutes pass, and you know, we call over the manager, and he's like, no, I'm busy right now, and like leaves. I'm like, okay, I might be here for a bit longer then. You know, no biggie, you know. I'm here for a reason. I said I don't need to leave at the beginning, so I'm like, you know what? I have an hour and a half. I can just power through this. And I'm working, you know, but he never came back like he said he would. Why? Alright, so I'm working, and I'm progressively getting a lot worse, to the point where I can barely even stand. And keep in mind, we aren't allowed to have drinks in the back, so I'm also severely dehydrated too at this point. And my coworker's like, where is he? You know, he's getting mad. I don't know why my coworker is was so protective of me when it came to that. But he was. So he went and hunts down the, he's like, hey kid, I'll be right back. Can you take this for a second? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, oh my god, in my head I was like, I can't last another minute. Oh, I think I need to go back and get caught too. If I want to actually fight Blue properly, I think that's what I need to do. And I could have gotten it earlier. But anyways, and he's like, all right, kid, I'll be back. I'm like, all right. And I hear from the office, like, I'm quite a bit of ways, my coworker who just left me screaming. I can't hear what he's saying, but I hear he's screaming. And I see my boss walk right by me, right by us, and my coworker's following. Oh, hi, Blue. What level are you? Oh. And then I see my other, because we have like more than one manager on, but they're just like higher different levels of authority, I'm pretty sure is how they had it work. And so the one who was like last in line at this in the restaurant at the time comes up and he's like, hey, I'm replacing you for right now, you need to go home now. And I'm like, okay. Then I see my other manager and he just glares at me as I walk away. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I'm kicked out, and I get kicked out of the restaurant, and I have to go home. So I go home and just pretty much sit down. And I'm exhausted, but I think I was crying because I was in so much physical pain because my chest hurt so bad. And I realized that as soon as I like sat down in the car and get home, and I'm so exhausted. I sit down thinking I can't physically move out of the chair anymore. And I get this weird feeling in my right arm, I remember. I start cramping. So I'm like, yeah, no, I haven't had water all day. And as soon as I say that, almost as if I call it upon myself, I feel every muscle in my body that can physically cramp. Oh my god, that is, it was so obnoxiously painful. And I drink water and I'm coughing really bad. I can't even function. But yeah, that's pretty much the full experience about working at McDonald's. Personally, I wouldn't recommend it, but it pays pretty good, so yeah. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and bye.